Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Ask Sibs. I really am all over the place with my scheduling of this. As I say, it's obviously something I'm doing on top of the day job because I do love to be able to create sort of these kind of videos and share general thoughts and insights around disability, social media, and entrepreneurship. And generally, my objective and aim for this is to whoever is watching to bring some value, some education, maybe some entertainment. Who knows? But yeah, so as obviously as much as I really love this and want to keep doing it every single day and try to do it at a particular time of day, the meetings and other demands of the day job make it a little bit more difficult. I actually was live at lunchtime for Expert Impact on their Instagram live, and I interviewed one of their business mentors, and I have benefited from Expert Impact, from the mentoring that they offer as a social entrepreneur. So I've sort of played compare and interviewer. That was my role, but kind of alongside the sentiments of me asking questions to this business leader on sort of behalf of other social entrepreneurs, and sometimes using some context of my own business situation and my own business problems and questions that I had. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Expert Impact or indeed the live stream that we did at lunchtime, then head to Expert Impact on Instagram. So that was today where I wasn't able to go live for this one. But anyway, enough about my scheduling and work stuff. So you remember I did the live stream earlier in the week, and it was talking about the narrative of disability in advertising and marketing. And I talked a little bit about the Nike trainer with the FlyEase technology, and also the Toyota Super Bowl ad that featured a disability story in it. So check that out if you didn't see it. I won't repeat it now. But I think it also just got me pondering my sort of tone. My objective of that was definitely not to beat down Nike and Toyota. If anything, we should applaud them for the innovation in the footwear and for having disability in an advert. So I think when we talk about the 22% disability population versus 0.06% of ads featuring disability, we most of all have to just applaud any brand that is finally seeing, hearing, understanding, working around a disability topic. I've always said we are like the poor cousin in diversity and inclusion, and often the race and gender and sexuality and all the other strands of diversity, equity, and inclusion still obviously have barriers and things to be improved upon. Absolutely a lot of work to be done there as well now, today, and into the future. But when we look at the history of disability rights, it generally is 10, 20 years a bit behind the other strands. So yeah, most of all, I wanted to just make that clear, that it's never to have a go at brands. And it just got me pondering that, while there was that clarification, but I think if you've watched the live stream, that will have come through quite clearly, that's where I was coming from when I actually got into the context. But of course, there still was some points I made about how the product with Nike is for everyone. It's not only for disabled people. The technology is useful for non-disabled people. The Nike brand is for everybody. And yet I haven't really seen any sort of narratives of disability that are of the everyday person with a disability. And from knowing marketing and social influence and marketing as well as I now do, there's so many opportunities to create and tell really amazing storytelling and content and digital assets and all that marketing good stuff to get that deeper into the mobility segment of disability, the neurodiverse, the hidden disability, that all the different parts of the disability community. There are so many really powerful ways that I believe that's an opportunity for Nike. And with Toyota, I also mentioned that it was that sort of triumph over tragedy and the thing about the sensationalism of Paralympians and disability. And again, I go into more detail on the last live stream, but again, there were things that weren't 100% right, okay? And that's, in the end, we still have to, aim for perfection. And whether I've talked a bit about whether we actually end up at perfection doesn't matter, but it's certainly good to, aim for some sort of North Star. And so when there are holes in any kind of, metaphorical holes in a product or a marketing campaign or customer service process or whatever, recruitment process, whatever it might be, I think brands would agree they want to know where it fell short and they want help with how to make it better. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I've called it Helping Brands with Love, is to very much, and that's what I do. I've been speaking to Nike behind the scenes. I've been trying to get hold of someone at Toyota. There's something I shared today where a dating site gave a ridiculous reply to a disabled person about that they should probably look to go on a disability-only dating site, which is horrendous to even be talking about. Don't get me wrong, there are dating sites for disabled people where people prefer to be there. That's brilliant and great. But for a mainstream dating site to kind of almost refuse or tell disabled people that they maybe don't belong in that area is horrendous. So again, trying to find these brands and help them. And I think the point about With Love is that it's not to just be rowdy and shouty and critical just for the sake of rowdy and critical. It's very much to work with them and bridge the gap. And the best way you find the answers and you bridge the gap is you get real disabled people in an organization through employment is one avenue, which we've talked a bit about, recruiting disabled people. And that whole agenda is really, really important. But again, from my kind of part of the larger inclusion puzzle, where I'm much more around marketing, you bring consumers' voices in, you do surveys, you do focus groups, you do interviews, and you learn from that audience that you're trying to make a positive impact with and for, or you're trying to do it for. I think the answer is to do it more with that community. And likewise on the content creation and the amplification, the distribution of the content, again, it's very much work with disabled people to do that, because you're probably never going to get a unanimous, unified voice, because obviously disabled people, we're not a homogenous group of people, and there are lots of differences. But I think that very often brands are doing things without consulting a larger than maybe one person with a disability in the room, and that's just ridiculous. You just wouldn't, if you're talking about families, students, the vegan community, I guarantee you there is a lot more market research going into those ideas, and in the execution of those ideas, there'll be people from those communities more involved. So as always, it's really simple. Like, let's get over this old school stereotype of disability as segregation, the charity model, the welfare narrative. Of course, there are disability charities doing good stuff. There are lots of disabled people on benefits, and that just shouldn't have such a negative stigma. It's amazing we've got this system in the UK, where I'm obviously speaking from. I don't know where you're tuned into from different countries, but like, all those narratives still exist. But it's also, what about if we have more employment of disabled people and more inclusion of goods and services? That's going to end up in a world where there isn't as much need for welfare and for charity of disability, and it's a chicken and egg. So brands have to see disabled people as consumers and treat us like consumers. And so that's what I'm trying to gently, with love, educate brands on. And I think that it's a longer game. If people go on social media and just start really, literally only getting rowdy, and it gets picked up by the press and the media, they get a short-term win that brand, has been shamed and shown up for how bad they are. And there's always a time and a place if something is really bad and really wrong, a bit like the dating website I mentioned earlier. But I think in the end, once this attention has been made, it has to be working together to find a solution. And I just sometimes worry if people are too critical, like only being critical without bringing solutions, brands are just going to start to be more fearful than they already are at the moment, and just push away from talking about disability. And that's not what we all want to happen. So I guess it's a healthy balance. We have to speak out when things are not correct and they're not right, but do it in a solutions-oriented way and with love. And that's what I wanted to share for today's message, following my live stream, following all the couple of case study examples I've told you about, and following lots of conversations going on behind closed doors that I know are making good progress. And I'm excited to be able to share them as they progress further and we start to do things more publicly with disabled influencers and disabled marketers and brands. So exciting times ahead as well. Just a couple of quick comments. I've had Leonore saying hi Martin, so hi back at you, and Trish saying good afternoon to you Martin and all the listeners. So a couple of little bits of hello engagements there. And obviously, as always, if you're watching it later, not on the live, please get in touch if you've got any thoughts on today. Maybe you disagree, always open for healthy debate, and maybe in a wholehearted agreement, and there's ways we can collaborate and partner with each other. And obviously, if you're a brand and you're looking for some support and help, I'd be very, very happy to bring the funk with that. That's FUNK, bring the funk. All right, good to catch up with you today. Friday tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow lunchtime for another episode of Ask Sibs. Bye-bye for now.